Hello and welcome to Skeindeer Knits. My name is Ellie and I am a Norwegian living and knitting in London. You can find me on Instagram. I am Skeindeer over there. Feel free to follow me, and you can find me as a designer on Ravelry under the designer name Skeindeer Knits. And yeah, you can also join my Ravelry group called Skeindeer Knits, which initially started just for this podcast, but it's also become a good place for getting support for my designs and just talking about them, taking part in giveaways and knit-alongs and that kind of thing. And it's just kind of, yeah, where this community gets together. So yeah, welcome. If you are new to this, this is a knitting podcast. Ironically, it's on video, so we call it a video podcast for whatever reason. And yeah, it's kind of my knitting talk show where I talk about the stuff that I have made and thoughts I have about knitting in general, and also about my designs and things I have purchased and acquired otherwise and related to knitting. And yeah, so that's kind of what I do. I am not particularly well versed into tutorial making and that kind of thing. It's not a particularly instructive podcast, but I do tend to go a more educational route occasionally, but mostly it's all about inspiration. And yeah, if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. It's been a long time since I did this. It feels like it anyway. I'm not sure I've recorded in all of December, to be honest. I did do Vlogmas, but I didn't really have time to properly sit down and record a full-on episode like this. And yeah, this is going to be a full-on. Just looking at my show notes, I know this is going to... We're gonna sit here for a while, let's just say that. Well, I'm gonna sit here for a while. You guys have your pause buttons. Speaking of which, I would like to know what you feel about a long episode being split into two halves that are into separate videos, or just watching it all in one big long chunk. Sometimes I feel like, you know, it's fair if I make a lot of content to separate it into smaller bits so that at least I can maybe get more ad revenue because there's more production that I do. But I really don't care about it that much, that if you guys don't want to watch it in two halves, I'm not going to do it. It's not worth it. So yeah, if you guys prefer watching it in one whole piece, then I will do that. I'm going to try that today. But if you prefer watching them in two halves, let me know that as well. I just fear that people are going to think, oh my god, that video is so long, I'm not going to even start watching it. But then again, I suppose people could think that, you know, oh my god, this person has now put up 2 videos and that's just too much to watch. So yeah, maybe I should just try to condense things. That would work if I recorded more frequently. That would solve that problem. So anyway, that's my rambly thoughts in the beginning for today. I'm going to go through some very quick admin, and then we're going to go straight into everything that I've been working on, stuff I finished, published and acquired. So I've been running a number of knit-alongs lately. There are some that have closed and one is about to, and one that started. Oh my god. So I have closed the Yule knit-along. That was a mystery knit-along that lasted for longer than the mystery was going, so that people who aren't keen on mysteries could also take part. It finished at the end of the year of 2018, mind you, and happy new year, by the way. So yeah, that's been wrapped up. I am going to draw from the actual chapter thread because I forgot a finished object thread, and there was a unanimous vote there that everyone was happy for me to draw from there. Doesn't mean anyone gets a double chance. I'm only going to draw from finished object photos, so if you post that twice, then I will find out. So hopefully that's fine by all of you. I haven't actually finished my mittens yet, shame on me. So that was annoying because I was hoping to photograph them in Norway, but there were some other things that I had to finish there, and you will see during this video why that got priority. Oh boy. So yeah, that's that. I also wrapped up the year-long knit-along for 2018. I will also be drawing prices from that. All the threads are closed. Lots of awesome collections came in. I do plan on running the Cal again for this year, so that is the year-long knit-along of 2019. The same rules apply. You make 6 pairs of colorwork mittens that have to be started and finished in 2019. And I don't have rules for yarn weights, but the same rules applies for last year. Any weight goes, but if you do make a collection that really only has very quick and simple mittens, then you're not going to be in the draw. It's not fair on people who make a collection of 6 like fingering weight colorwork mittens if you make just like Aran weight half mittens or things like that. So That's the same rule as last year. Again, I don't allow ornaments. Ornaments are not mittens. Same reason that, you know, the box of socks does not allow for Christmas stockings. It's the same thing. So it's the same rules as last year. It kicks off the 1st of January. I'm obviously announcing a little bit late, but that's let's be real, I'm probably not going to remember to close the thread at the 31st of December anyway, so it'll all add up in the end. As for the prize draws for these, I will be drawing prizes for a few winners, but I think because the Sundbø Mitten Club knit along will be running till the end of January, and I by no means have my ducks in a row right now, I will be drawing winners for all 3 knit alongs in the beginning, hopefully in February. So if you are in the draw for that and you were expecting that now, sorry, I'm not ready. I have been given a lot of stuff in the mail to give away to you guys that I need to sort out. There's a lot of things I need to sort out. Tax return deadline, anyone? And I have student work to mark as well, not to mention my PhD. You didn't come here for that. I have excuses, that's what I'm trying to say. So I will be doing that in February, so check back then if you are curious about that. I might make it a separate video just to save us all the trouble, but we'll see. That seems convenient now that I'm saying it out loud. So yeah. Yeah, so the Sundbø Mitten Club is still running, in case anyone wasn't sure. I considered that the last mitten pair, given it's the most intricate of them all, I want to give you extra time because most people are pretty busy knitting other things and doing other things at the end of December, the whole of December really, because it's Christmas month and it's madness. So you have a lot of time to catch up in the whole of January for the Sundbø Mitten Club. Because I realise a lot of you obviously joined to reach the goal of knitting them all, or as many as possible for you. So I want to give you a fair chance of doing that. We knit at different speeds and that's fine. It's totally fine. So we'll do that. Now, I have released 3 patterns since the last time we saw each other, unless you've been watching my Vlogmas series, which, by the way, I'm very sorry about the delay in getting the last 3 episodes or videos, vlogs out. Yeah, stuff and reasons. Anyway, 3 new patterns that you may or may not have seen already. One is Effie. Effie was the last pair of mittens in the Sundbø Mitten Club of 2018. This is what they look like. I used WYS Etc. yarn, her Shetland wool, which is just so nice. I can't put it into words. You kind of have to try it, but it creates this like very, very smooth surface. And I know I keep saying that. It makes no sense to anyone. But the thing is, when you have woolen spun yarn, it's a very fuzzy yarn. It's got this like Velcro effect that usually makes it good for steeking and that kind of thing. Obviously, you don't want to steek your mittens, I guess. But this doesn't have that fuzzy halo thing. It's just very, very smooth, but it's not been combed, it's been carded, so it's like just ridiculously lovely. And yeah, so this is Effie. This is what they look like here. And yeah, they of course have my usual feature of the mirrored thumb pattern poem thing, the thing that I do. So that's what they look like. They obviously resembled Evia because Evia and Effie are linguistically related words, and I wanted to do it full circle. I wanted to come around with both the color scheme, kind of, though this is a bit of a cooler shade, and I wanted to get back to the more geometrical kind of sharp edges Sundbø Mitten look. And this is the last pattern. It's fingering weight, like I said. It's got a fairly dense gauge. This is the densest gauge I have introduced in my 2 Sundbø Mitten clubs. So yeah, I wanted to give you some extra time to finish these. That's why I have the whole of January to do so. It is available in the club, and the club is just, you can join whenever you want really. It's not like you're too late if you join now. You're basically just buying a collection with all the mittens part of the club at this rate. There's no waiting for you basically. So that's Effie for you. I released 2 other patterns as well. One is called Cider. This is Cider. It's a pair of stockings. I've been teasing about releasing a pair of stockings for ages, and I have. I knitted these in probably just a handful of days in June, and I realised they'd look a bit involuntarily festive, probably due to the colour scheme that I love so much. I'm all about the greys and the reds, you know. and I realized this can't come out now. It has to come out closer to Christmas. And so I waited and waited, and finally it was ready to come out. And yeah, you will notice the leg looks ridiculously wide compared to the ankle, but that's because I made it fit me. And that's kind of the thing about this pattern, is that you fit the calf to your calf measurement, and you fit the foot to your foot measurement. And myself personally, I have very narrow ankles and a very wide calf. I really am proportioned this way. And it doesn't look as extreme when you wear it. I'm going to try and make it look a little bit more 3D for you. So you can see it's like not really that extreme. I don't know, I probably didn't do a good job of that. But you can see in the photos it's very well sculpted to my legs, and it kind of shows you how to do that as well. It does kind of give you a sort of standard decrease along here. So it's got like a fake seam that, I mean, if you don't like fake seams, you can just knit the little purl in here. But I think if you're gonna decrease, you know, this is the same thing that you do for sleeves basically. You can either try to hide it under your arm, but given this is at the back of your leg, then you might as well want it to look deliberate, and so that's kind of what I've gone for here. So yeah, they were quick to make is what I'm trying to say. They really just flew by. There's, like I said, a different sizing system for the calves and for the feet. So for the feet, you choose your foot size and then knit for the length that you personally need. And for the calves, you just choose your measurements. There are some pre-made measurements, and they will tell you where in the columns to start knitting to make it sort of mirrored where the round starts and where it ends, which is a genius addition from a test knitter that I actually had the pleasure of meeting in Norway. And I wish I'd thought of that, because I would have made these look a lot nicer too, but sometimes samples don't look like the finished item. So the finished item is, or the pattern instructions is a lot better. So there you have it. It's called Cider because it's named after the place where my family has a cabin. I've been there a lot during my childhood, and I just wanted to name these after that because it's a place where I could totally see myself wearing these to death. So just gonna add some photos of my face so you can see them when they're actually worn, because it looks a lot nicer than this kind of weird shape when they lay flat. And yeah, these can be worn in shoes. They're not that thick. Don't even worry about it. So, but personally, I'm probably gonna wear these when I need to be cozy at home, because that's just what I'm like. The last pattern that has come out, I have since worn to death. And they still look okay, but not as good as they looked before. I worn them all the time this Christmas. I worn them in socks, I worn them on the floor, everywhere, and it hadn't occurred to me that I actually hadn't shown them on the podcast, so they may show. It looks like, yeah, there's a bit of shoe dirt at the bottom of them. I haven't washed them, so yeah. What an introduction, hey? This is the Lanea Vinea socks. And yeah, I totally dressed them above the other socks I'm going to show you later, because that's kind of what they do, you know, in costume changes in the theatre and stuff, and that's totally what I'm all about, right? So yeah, this is Lanea Vinea. Ignore the red, just ignore it. Why can't I just do this properly? I'll just get another pair of sock blockers. This is knit in Woolen Vine Footsie yarn. It's her BFL nylon blend, and I have released a pattern. It's on Ravelry. Can get it. It includes both toe up and cuff down instructions in, yeah, 2 separate PDFs that you get them both when you buy the pattern. And yeah, pretty proud of that. I seem to have nailed the formula that I prefer in both directions, so that's become quite easy for me right now. I loved knitting these. It was super potato chippy, which seems appropriate given that this was using Kristen's yarn, and I feel like I learned that term from her. There's something about this chart repeat that's very memorizable. You want to get to the next and the next, and you just keep going. And yeah, Lanea Vinea in Woolen Vines Christmas colorways, and I love it. I just love these colors. You will see them again for sure, because I had some left and I've made a little thing of them. And yeah, oh, they're so, these are not clean. I'm gonna add some photos above my face again so you can see what they look like in the photos. Courtesy of Caroline of Knit. She took the photos for me when we were in Winchester to look at the Christmas market there. So again, if anyone had any questions about can they be worn in shoes, well obviously, I mean that's what I've done. Like, I don't know where this like weird reputation that thicker socks or colorwork socks can't be worn in shoes, that they were somehow too thick. They're not. I wear sneakers all days. We're not talking boots here. I put them in my like Asics running shoes. So yeah, no problem at all. I don't even loosen my laces. So that was all my pattern talk, and I thought now we can have a look at things that I have finished since last time. I have finished a lot of things. There will still be some Skeindeer pattern talks throughout obviously, but there will also be some vanilla socks. Yes, these are the socks that were hiding under the Lanea Vinea socks. And yeah, these are the Fairy Lights sock yarn by West Yorkshire Spinners. It was the 2018 Christmas colorway, and you should have seen my mom's face when she saw these. With like, how did you, is it the same yarn? It's just one yarn. Yeah, amazing. So that's, whoa, I'm being slapped by my own socks. I enjoyed making these. I believe I did them cuff down. I seem to be quite indifferent whether I do cuff down or toe up at this rate. And I enjoyed it. I got a contrast yarn obviously for the contrasting bits. Because it's West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply yarn, it totally matches up. It's the exact same shade of red, so it just works. I was a little bit dumb when I bought yarn for this because I didn't realize that the green was part of the self-striping. I'd seen photos and I assumed I had to buy the green and stripe it myself. I don't know why, because clearly when you look at the ball you can see the green stripes through and through. So I don't know what I was thinking there. So I don't know what to do with my green ball. Maybe it will just be a prop for my knitting machine when I need extra yarn. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say. It's a pair of vanilla socks. It was supposed to be part of my box of socks, but as ever, I think this is the 3rd year now where I completely failed at reaching that goal. I did totally make more than 12 pairs of socks last year, but they weren't all fingering weight. I did a pair of colorwork sport weight socks for the Cider collection, and since they don't count, I didn't make it. It's kind of the same thing as the year before, really. So I don't know if it's been 2 or 3 years where I failed to reach the goal. But given Kristen of the Wool and Vine podcast is going to basically redo the cal again, there might be another year for me to try and fail and make it or something. So anyway, it was good effort. I got a pair of Christmas socks out of it that I clearly didn't wear, but at least they look nice for the podcast as opposed to some. Another finished object you can see right behind me. It's yellow, it's fabulous. It is my first shawl design. It's a Faroese shawl. And I will say, just a heads up, I blocked it pretty terribly. I didn't pin it, I just soaked it and let it hang. So it looks a bit funny here, but who cares? I don't know, maybe nobody noticed. It basically looks a little bit like, I don't know. Let's not point out our flaws. It's a good pattern. So this is how it wears. It's just the perfect size to get around your neck. It's quite loose right now, but you can obviously tighten it up. It's good to be back. So yeah, I am using Vadbit yarn for this. This is a yarn dyed by Oslo dyer Laila, who has the Vadbit yarn and the Vadbit shop. And I love it. It's in her Vinull base, which is a nice mix of Norwegian lamb's wool and pelt wool. It's just so nice. It's nice and woolly. And yeah, I am totally going to write up a pattern for it. I'm just a bit behind on all the things, really. It is very closely based upon a shawl that my mum has had basically in the attic for decades. Someone made it in the Faroese Island. I haven't been able to find a pattern for it. It looks like one of those old like made up things that people just did out of their own brilliant minds. And so I thought I'd write it down, and I really like it. So it will be a pattern. I've taken some photos. I took some photos with this version and the original. The original has frills. I unfortunately ran out of yarn to do frills, but I will include instructions for how to do them once the pattern is out, whenever that happens. So meanwhile, we've got this. I just love wearing it this way. I'm gonna wear it so much. I don't really do yellows, but I have narrowed down to some yellows that I can work. I can work the more gold and mustard kinds of yellow. If it's too just yellow, it doesn't really work for me. But if it's a little bit grubby, a little bit grello, then no problem. It totally works with my complexion. So very happy to have discovered that. Of course, you can wear it kind of old-fashioned style as well, like having it around your shoulders. If you were slimmer than me, you could probably tie it around your waist. I'm also going to include 2 size instructions for it, because while this might be big enough for some, it's not big enough for me. I like them big, the shawls, I mean. So I will gauge grade them, because I love gauge grading, and that is the difference actually between the original shawl and this one. This was done with a 6mm needle, I think, and I reckon the other one would require a 7mm. I'm gonna get down the gauge for them and stuff, so you can see. Whew, whew. So they are quick to make. They are really quick. They are bottom up, which is traditional in the Faroese Islands. You cast on about 300 stitches or so, so not very many. You know, I've done garments with more stitches than that, and you decrease immediately, so you're never really working with a full stitch count much. You get fewer and fewer stitches every time. You finish the lace, and then the decreases are so much more rapid up here. This is because to get the Faroese shape, you actually have to decrease in the middle of the garter as well, not just on the edges along the seams. But if you look very closely, you can see that there are some decreases interspersed. Maybe it's looking a bit more obviously from here in the actual main body of the shawl. That's what gives it such a good shoulder fit. So yeah, it's very wearable. I'm very excited about having this as a pattern soon. I'm definitely going to wrap my head around Faroese shawls more in the future. They are, for me personally, the most wearable shawl shapes out there. I'm quite fussy about the wearability of shawls. I need them to be symmetrical. I need them to not be too shallow, not too deep. This ticks all the boxes for me. Like, just, I love this, if I may say so. I don't have any specific date when I'm aiming to have this released. I reckon test knitters will be able to finish this very quickly, and I will let you know, probably on Instagram, when I want test knitters and how I want them to volunteer. So please don't volunteer here, though I appreciate it. I just, yeah, still have some things to figure out in terms of writing it. The pattern sample that I found that I worked from has a lot of shortcuts. It was really fun to go through it and really look at every stitch, and you can see where they have properly cheated. Somewhere along the lines they were just like, oh, I just made a stitch, I don't know, decrease later. It's like lots of things like that, and I'm like, oh, nice try there. So I find it really amusing to actually see that knitting's just never been perfect. It really just, it's just not. People always cheat and do shortcuts. I say cheat as though it's a negative thing. I think it's really, really cool when people just take ownership of their knitting that way and just make it work and don't think about how it has to be super precise and accurate. But of course I'm going to try to make it super precise and accurate in the actual pattern, because that's just, yeah. You can do both. So yeah, I'm gonna stop just like waving it in your face now and put it away, and just let you know that this is the thing that's going to come. And if you want to be ready, you can just start looking at yarns. I'm using fingering to sport weight woolen spun yarn. I have used the Finull yarn from Babbles, but you could use Finull, you could use Loft, you could use Vilje. I'm going to use Vilje next time I make this. I think I'm going to make one more, and you can just use so many different wool yarns. I think, no, I'm going to use Jameson Smith, I think. Jameson Smith 2-ply jump weight. Yeah. So there's lots of yarns out there for you to use. I'm sure Hull Super Soft would work well. I wonder if that would make it very light. This is a little bit on the heavier side. You could probably use DK weight as well. I'm sure this is so versatile, and you can just make any gauge and size you want. I mean, it won't be my last shawl. I think I have made it through the shawl. Whatever, words, they fail me. I just got back from Norway like a day or two ago, so I'm still getting used to English. I haven't really used English much since I got back. The only person I've seen it's been one of my flatmates, so bear with me. I told you would be seeing the Vamp-Mess colorway of the Lanea Vinyl socks once more in this episode, because I've gone and done myself a sparkling cider hat, and I'm gonna put it on for your viewing pleasure, just to ruin my hair day. Not that it was a good hair day in the first place. So I am using, yes, the Footsie yarn by Wool and Vine along with Shibu Silk Cloud. I actually ended up with a lot of leftovers. I think this is more than half the skeins. I could easily make more hats now. And yeah, so it was really nice to get to use this very fancy schmancy yarn that I treated myself with from Tribe in Richmond in London a while ago, just to buy something of theirs, and God, I really love this yarn. I want to cry that it's so expensive, because it's so good and so soft. Like, this is the softest silk mohair yarn out there. There's no contender. Just it's not bothered me at all that I'm having it around my head. Usually I get quite itchy in my forehead, even though I have a fringe. It happens, and this has not really been an issue. I have a few sort of weird modifications that were kind of unintentional, but sort of just happened. First of all, the beads. I loved beading. I wasn't sure I was going to, because I've never beaded before, and I didn't think I was going to like it, but it just so happened that I was at a sort of knitting meet up with Grace of Babbles Yarn, or Babbles Travelling Yarn, and the Babbles podcast, and Caroline of Dunderknit, or the Knitting Vicariously podcast. We met up in Wild and Woolly with some other knitters, and that was really nice. And as you may be aware, Grace made some really good video tutorials on how to bead with floss, and Caroline's just test knitted this hat. And yeah, Grace was knitting on it there, and Caroline already did it, and so I just realized we just have to bead this. I got some beads, the same type that I called for in the pattern. I got them from Tribe, and I was at Wild and Woolly, and I just ran to the nearest pharmacy to get some floss, actual dental floss, yes, and had Grace demonstrate for me how to do it in person, which was super nice. Thank you. And it was just good to have them both there to be like, you're doing fine, Ella, you're doing fine. And I'm like, I look at me doing this thing with this new method, and it's like bling. So I got some bling, and I'm showing everyone my bling, and I'm just like, it's Christmas trees, look, it's got bling. And I've been dorkily excited about this hat this Christmas. But yeah, I was going to talk about the unintentional modifications without giving too much away. Basically, the chart of the trees, they kind of overlap. Like, one begins where the other ends. It's not like you finish one and then you do the other. And I missed that. So mine, first I finish one row of trees and then I start another one. They don't overlap. So there are 2 extra rows worked in, or rounds I should say, every time I work a chart repeat. And so at the end I was completely out of yarn. I played some proper yarn chicken and won, but I won because I skipped out on the last tree repeat, if you will. So that it's a little bit shorter, but it's also a little bit longer because of the other extra 2 rows, so rounds. So it might actually be the correct length in the end. The slouch is a little bit on top of my head rather than down here, but it's a bit of both, and it works, and it fits me really well. I'm very happy with it. It could have been tighter around my head, but I don't think I would personally like that. I like them a little bit just right. And I was really nervous it was going to be too tight when I was knitting it, and it wasn't. This is a really good fit for me. I like the hat. It's designed by Kristen of Wool and Vine. I really like it. She gave me the pattern just for disclosure and the yarn. And I did decline test knitting it because I had so many things I had to finish myself at the time, but I still knew I was going to make the hat. And because of all the travel issues I had getting back to Norway, I'm not even going to share it with you again, but it was just havoc. I had a lot of time to finish this hat, and it felt really good to get a lot of things off the needles as I was just stuck there. So the sparkling cider hat, tis done, and let's just get on with the next stuff. how is that for finished objects? How we got the Effie mittens, we got Lanea, we got the hat, we got the shawl, we've got more. And you are looking at it. It's hung across my chair because I am now living in this thing. I know I say that every time I make a garment. This thing, oh, this might just be the best thing I've made. Shall we just have a look at it? Because I can't talk today. This beast of a cardigan is a Skeindeer Knits design. And it's huge. It is huge. It probably weighs close to a kilo. It's not actually a problem, by the way, in case anyone's worried. I only have 2 buttons on it right now because I realized I only had 8 of these buttons and I left them all in Norway. And I like to have some for the photos that I took in Norway, so I bought 2 because there are 10 buttonholes here in total. So now that I'm here, I will attach the other 8, but for the time being I only have 2 kind of provisionally attached because I like to measure out all the buttons and stuff when I put them on. Personal preference. Anyway, where do I begin with this thing? I have talked to you about it at length earlier, but I have never been able to show you the finished item because I just finished it just before I left Norway. It's been a thing I have worked on since April. It doesn't actually take that long to make. I'm sure people could make it in just a couple of weeks, if not a month or 2. But because of the great heat wave that basically lasted between April and September in London, I didn't want to have this big woolly beast on my lap. I finished the sleeves and I got halfway through the body before I put it aside for other projects and stuff I had to finish. And so now that it's cold again and lovely, I could knit on it. You can knit on it when it's hot. I'm just being fussy and making excuses for why it took me a while. And yeah, it's done. Should I do a big... Okay, we need to get some room in here, I think. How can I? So this is the whole beast. She's huge. Yes. I love it so much. Okay, so you've seen the whole thing. I can sit down and talk you a bit through it. I started with the sleeves. I probably won't write the sleeves in the pattern first, but it's the thing you can start with. You start with stockinette on some very small needles for the thickness of this yarn. Then you do a purl round and then fold over and you do color work and you start increasing and you increase and you get these massive sleeves that you're gonna think are just way too big, but they're not because it's a drop sleeve and it's just so big and baggy. Definitely meant to be oversized, but of course you do you. You're not gonna go wrong if you do a more fitted, but obviously it is a drop sleeve, so you know there's some ease intended for those. So you get up here and then you get to do my color work again. I swear the sleeves just zoomed by. They were so quick to make. And after you finish the sleeve, you do a few rows, not rounds, but rows of stockinette that you can use to cover the steek, because yes, the armholes are steeked and yes, the front is steeked, but you can't see it because it's a double folded button band in stockinette. No steeks to be seen. I'm just showing you my boobs now, aren't I? So yeah, I have just completely wrapped my head around this pattern. Like, I just been living and breathing this thing. There's just so much thought gone into it, so much detail. It looks beautiful inside out. Literally, there's no... You can't see the streaks anywhere. I'm gonna try not to shout now, I'm so close to the camera. But yeah. So there's lots of steeks involved in this. You steek for the front, you steek for the armholes, that's 3. But there's another 2. There's one for the front here, and same for the back. Just a very, very short one, because I don't want you purling color work. If you want to, you can do that. You can omit the steeks. But personally, and from experience, lots of people have different tension when they purl, especially with color work, and I want to avoid that. I want to make it a perfect tension cardigan. And so the whole thing is done in the round. It looks super weird in the end, but then you cut it open and you do all the extra. I'm not going to give away the pattern here, but trust me, this is an experience of a knit. And yeah, there will be a pattern, There will be a pattern coming, I'm hoping this winter. Well, it's still winter in the Northern Hemisphere. Probably closer towards, depending on when my test knitches are done and if I can get an agreement with my tech editor, what we can do. And oh, I am so ridiculously proud of this thing. There's a lot of inspiration from traditional Norwegian cardigans. I got a little bit Satistar inspired. As you can see, this is a chart from that. I have, obviously with the lice, it's a Lusa Kofter. Lusa Kofter were basically Satistar cardigans. The chart is a heavily modified traditional chart that you can find in Trondheim Mittens and such, but I really thinned it out to make it work on a cardigan, especially with this weight of yarn. And then I added some, I just love this flower repeat. You can find it on a lot of my designs and other people's designs. It's a heavily used one. And this one just seems to work well because it's not too close and too similar to the other ones. So that's kind of my thinking around that. Gosh, it's just been an experience. I worked on this all Christmas. It's pretty much all I was working on, just to finish it, to get some photos in the snow. But there was no snow, so we don't get snow. There are photos anyway. We got photos in Norwegian nature. And yeah, the yarn, I'm going to talk a lot about the yarn closer to the release. I chose to use Peer Gynt by Sandnes because I have always wanted a big cozy cardigan in Peer Gynt, even though it's such a heavy on the scale yarn for the weight that it is. It's like kind of DK to worsted. I think it looks quite fine for that, but it's got the meterage of Aran, so you need a lot of it and it will weigh very heavy. But it's so lovely, it's just so lovely, but doesn't stick well. I learned that the hard way. So I'm also going to prepare a flow chart for how to know whether you can stick with the yarns that you want to use, so you can make that decision and feel safe. I think if I was going to do this again, I would perhaps use whole super soft held double, because that would make it considerably lighter and you could actually stick, cut through it without using the sewing machine. I ended up using the sewing machine after cutting. My mom so graciously helped me out there, so that worked. I could save it. It wasn't a big problem. Even if you do stick a yarn that isn't optimal for it, it's not the end of the world. You can save it. It's easy. Nothing bad happened. I just had to sew it after the fact. But I will help you out with that when the pattern comes, and make sure that you are completely safe. Yeah, I'm thinking about calling it Kofter, because Kos is kind of my region's equivalent of hygge, and hygge just makes me cringe. I'm not a fan of this whole like reframing, appropriating-ish of Scandinavian language when it's not been done by Scandinavians. Like, it's a complete London publishing scheme, and that's another rant for another day. But I do like the sentiment. I love the sentiment, and that's what Kos is to me. It could also mean hug, but it could also mean what hygge means, which I'm sure you already know. And kofte is what this kind of cardigan is, so I thought cozy kofte. It's a cozy cardigan, basically. That's my thinking. Other names could be considered. We'll see. I've kind of grown a bit attached to the name, so yeah. I don't know much else to say. I want to spend the whole video talking about this cardigan. It's just the greatest thing I've ever made, literally and figuratively. It's supposed to be big. Let me just reassure you. The sleeve hole goes all the way down here, like my underarm is here, right? It's proper big and baggy. It's a coat again, right? It's supposed to be like a coat. It's my outerwear. It's also good for when I'm inside and freezing, because ironically going from Norway to London means I'm going to be colder, because it's colder inside. I don't know what's up with that, but here I need to wear more woolens than I need to use up there. So yeah, it's good to keep warm, good to wear outside. I definitely got inspired to design this when we had this beast from the east in March. It was proper freezing then, it was snowing more than usual in London, and I needed something very warm to wear. And this seemed like the perfect thing, so I got one, I made one, and soon you can too. I will have it release on Ravelry as a single pattern this winter. That's the goal. So finally we are ready to talk about works in progress. I'm not sure for how long I can wear this thing, but I'm going to try to wear it a little bit more, even though it's so warm. I have started another pair of West Yorkshire Spinner socks, and I've done one. I have already finished one. This is the Candy Cane colorway that they did for the Christmas of 2017. I am doing this one toe up, but otherwise it's going to be identical to the fairy lights. So just for comparison, they really do have the same dimensions. It's just different directions of knitting. I did do a 2x2 rib instead because I twisted 1x1. Like, why did I do that to myself? Anyway, I have started the second one. I started it yesterday, where I felt like casting on 3 things for whatever reason. And so that's a work in progress right there. Okay, I'm gonna take it off now. This is just not gonna work out. It's warm. It's really warm. I just, oh. Stop tooting your own horn, LA. It's not cute. By the way, check out those flows. So, the other thing I've been knitting on, this was before I went for Norway, so it feels weird to look at it now as if I've done it recently, but it is the Polworth sweater by Isolde Teague, using Steinfine wool from the little grey sheep. Oh, my brain just froze there. So this is how it looks. It's my very favorite color, the best shade of burgundy there is. Looking way more variegated on camera than it is in real life. It looks solid in real life. So all this like variegated striping going on here is really not visible without the studio lights and everything and the blowing out on the camera. So yeah, got one sleeve done with a brioche cuff. Goodness me. It's a brioche rib cuff. In case you're wondering, that what we usually refer to as brioche is actually rib, but it's brioche rib. There's also brioche stockinette, turns out. The other sleeve is done too. I should show you them at the same time so you can believe me. They're different and they're done. And I really just need to do stockinette until the end of days, really. And then it'll be done and I'll have a finished jumper. I did really want to bring this with me to Norway, but I just packed too many whips, and the big coat is a big reason why I couldn't fit more. So there you have it. I don't know what else to say. I need to keep knitting on it, and then I will show you when it's done, and you know, I will show you if I'm not done too, obviously. I don't know where I'm going with this. I love it. It's a really nice pattern by Isolde Teague. It's a bit deceptive. You think it's going to be a basic raglan with a bit of brioche, but oh boy, does it have treats for you. But it's so rewarding because it's going to be very, very well fitting, and that gets me very excited. So, because I usually struggle a bit with raglans. They don't always have the optimal fit, but they're nice to make, and he's good enough to wear. It's just easy and convenient. But this is like the most well-fitting raglan there is, so quite excited to have one of these. And it's so, the yarn is so soft, and it lives in the most adorable project bag in the world, which makes me cry because it's so cute. Just, oh. It's made by a Norwegian bag maker called Annemor Sundbø. So that was Polworth. Another kind of raglan sweater I've been working on in burgundy from another Scotland-based designer is Ducot by Kate Davies. It lives in this gorgeous project bag that my mum made me last year, and yeah, I use this bag a lot. It's got the perfect dimensions, the most adorable print, and just sturdy enough, like a very sort of gentle interfacing. I really like it, and the drawstrings are good. It's just all good. So I made a lot of progress with Ducot last time I was in London. I am still not super chuffed with the neckline. I think I will give it a block first, but it might need reknitting, but it might not. I might just rip out 2 rounds and then decrease the purls together before I do the whole thing as a bind off, just to get it kind of gathering around my neck. But obviously I want to get my head through, so I will put some consideration into that. But yeah, this sleeve is not really gotten very far, but the other one, bit longer. Put it on some scrap yarn for some reason that I don't know, and gosh, I don't remember this at all. I'm using recycled yarn from Lamia, which is you can get from Hobium. They gave me this yarn to talk about here, full disclosure, and yeah, So recycled yarn, kind of DK weight. I got 10 balls, which should be enough for this sweater. I'm a little bit nervous that it might not be, but it's top down, so if I just finish the sleeves first, I'll do the body as long as I can, and it will fit with some dress or skirt anyway, so I'm not too fussed. But I think it will be enough. I shouldn't be saying that I don't think it will be. I think it will be. I just don't have that many balls left. Anyway, here we have it. Do call just fairly straightforward raglan. It's loose, oversized and cropped, which is perfect in every way, really. This thing is so close to being a finished object. I'm kind of ashamed that it isn't, because really it had every opportunity of being one. And now that Christmas is over, I'm not sure when it's going to be. And that is Julevotten 2018, the Christmas mitten 2018, from Wenche Roald, who is part of Votterlaget, who has the fairy tale mitten book and such. This is what they look like. Unblocked, obviously, without thumbs, thus why it's not finished. But I have really enjoyed this. This is a really fun mystery knit. You got a little bit at the time, and the last clue was the thumb, which I should have been able to finish, I just didn't. Once the thumbs are on, this is a finished object, and will go into my mitten collection, I suppose. I've got so many mittens, I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I absolutely love these. I love Wenche Roald's designs. She's got a book coming out tomorrow, I think. I'm so excited about it. I hope Mom's gonna give it to me for my birthday, which is coming up on the 22nd, so yeah. Anyway, these are the mittens. I used Tove by Sandnes for the grey, and I used Ask by Hillesvåg for the heathered red, and it's a perfect combination. I'm so happy with my color choices. It went really well with the design, which obviously I didn't know what it was going to look like because it's a mystery. And yeah, it's a good fit too. It's got my preferred stitch count for mittens, so I knew what needle size to use right away. It's got a good length as well. I think once it's blocked out, this will be a perfect fit, although it's pretty close to that already. So yeah, Christmas mittens that aren't done, even though Christmas is It lives in another project bag that my mom made me. Yeah, I like this bag. Another really embarrassing, this could have been finished by now, floof. It's in my Plystre project bag that came with a rucksack, and the only reason it's not done is because I underestimated the amount of yarn I needed to bring. And the yarn is on a cone, so that's why I didn't have the opportunity to bring it. And I am so close to being done with this. I was hoping to do some nice photography of it in Norway, but it wasn't done, so what are you gonna do? This is floof. It's got finished sleeves. It's had finished sleeves for a long time, actually. They are very long. I'm gonna write them to be long in the pattern. Obviously, if you want them shorter, you just knit them shorter. It's top down, you do what you want. But I want it to be like proper, you know, you can do this, which obviously you can't with this jumper. The neckline is actually a little bit different in the pattern. I have lowered it a little bit and make it a little bit more like a crew neck. This is a... I wanted a crew neck, it just doesn't look like one. So I've crew necked it more. So again, sometimes the sample isn't as good as the pattern. I'd rather give you guys a good pattern than not having it match up with the sample. That it's more important that you're happy with what you're getting than me. So, so selfless. Anyway, I have nearly finished the body as well. I've done the high-low hem, and I'm just working up the rib, and I'm like, what, 2-3 centimeters short of being done. That was just so annoying. I could have just brought a little bit more yarn and it would have been done. And I could have washed it, gotten all the spinning oil out, and then it flew up and photographed it in Norway, but here we are. It's not happened, so... but I love it. It's so light and soft and just floofy. That's the name, floof. And it's got a nice fit. It's got a really flattering shoulder fit. It doesn't drop, but it's very much at the edge of your shoulder rather than the usual set-in sleeve. Kind of like this jumper, actually. It fits a lot similar to this, and which you can't see because it's black, but yeah, take my word for it. I love the feedback I've gotten from my test knitters so far. They are all very happy with the fit and everything, and I'm quite chuffed to have a mohair jumper, like a pure stockinette jumper that doesn't rely on any color work. There's no color work to hide behind. It has to be well constructed. it's been such a pleasant challenge and I look forward to having it out. Also aiming to have this out for you this winter, hoping even for January. It's all kind of ready to go out. I just need to go through the pattern with my tech editor more and need to get some photos, obviously. Apart from that, there's really nothing stopping us. Do you think I have another embarrassing could have been a finished object but isn't? Oh yeah, oh yeah. It lives in my mode bag. This one I got from Camilla, who makes the mode bags that's sold in the Davies shop in Oslo. It's got the little ant logo here, and it's a canvas bag that she dyes herself and then sews them together, puts in a leather drawstring, and I really love it. I've been using this thing a lot and I keep moving projects around so I can use this bag. And yeah, in here we have Threipmuir. Do you remember this? Cast on in May, I think. And the sleeves are done, finally, completely done. I made them about 10 rows, 11 rows rounds longer, so this little portion here, just for added length, because I know these kinds of yarn is so fine, Highland wool, they tend to shrink a little bit lengthwise, so I'm just being better safe than sorry here. But I also do like this, you know, I do like that. So I am on the rib for the body. I did a lot of rib when I was on my flight. Gosh, I did a lot of rib, didn't I? Just in one go. Wow, so proud of myself. Well done, Lily, thank you. And it's happening. I'm gonna do a lot of rib in this, a lot longer than the pattern says, because I want to make it shorter and sit just proper well on my kind of waist to upper hips. It's kind of like a crop that doesn't know what it wants to be, but I like that. It fits with my skirts where they sit, and so I don't care if people think it's like too long crop jumper or too short jumper in general. So it's so close to being done. It needs also picking up around here to do a rib around the neckline, which I reckon won't take that long. So yeah, this could have been done. My IKEA uniform could have been done. But you know, it's nice to keep seeing it again, right? You're not tired of that, are you? I've also started casting on a pair of mittens for my sister. She's been wanting these for ages. I did actually start knitting them earlier, but they were way too loose in the cuff because I tried to actually match the gauge. But when I did that, they became very big, and they do look big in the sample as well. So I just thought, okay, I'm gonna go with the recommended needle size then. I'm just gonna do a 2.5 cuff, and it actually fits really well. It's nice and snug around the wrist, and I might go up in needle size as I get past the wrist, but this is kind of what the whole mitten look like. Yeah. This is what it looks like, and yeah, it's going to be stockinette in the palm. That's the only thing that's going to change. Obviously it's going to be a second one too, and I'm knitting it out of the recommended yarn in the same colorway. It's Ask by Hillesvåg, very similar to Finull, in case you were wondering. So you may remember I've been working with my knitting machine quite a bit. I was making these pieces. This is like a, I think this is for the back, and this one was designed by East London Knits, who's Renee Callahan. She's got class on Craftsy, and this pattern comes with that. And this is just the back. I think I've shown you this before. I'm not showing you now to like list them on my projects. I don't even have a project page for it, but I just want to show you that I have kind of practiced with my machine. This is the front, and once I'd done that, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna knit other things on the machine now. So I actually haven't finished this. I really only need to do the sleeves and something for the neckline. I'm not sure I'm going to do by hand or by machine because I haven't watched the end of the tutorial, but the whole tutorial has so far been with the machine, so maybe that's enough. And I also want to point out that all the yellow is just scrap yarn from West Yorkshire Spinners. The grey yarn, that's the jumper. I don't know what the yarn is. I picked it up from the Sandnes factory sale in 2017. It was unlabeled. It was supposed to be for like, well, blankets, but I guess I plan to wear it even though it's quite hard. Yeah, but I wasn't going to show you this. I was actually going to show you what I transitioned into once I felt like I'd mastered the machine. So it lives in my fringe supply bag, the waxed canvas one in the whatever colorway it is. It's burgundy, that's why I got it. I am making myself a boxy. Yes, you heard it here first. It's about time that I make myself a Joji Locatelli garment. The only Joji Locatelli project I've ever done for myself is the bonbon mitts from the anniversary issue of Pom Pom, and I kind of messed up the gauge there. They're a little bit tighter than they were meant to be, so that's on me. and I've been wanting to knit some of her garments. I've been looking at the granito for the longest time, but someone, I'm not gonna give names, but Amy, has been making some boxies, and I guess I felt called to make one myself. And a lot of people have made boxies, and I haven't heard a single person who hasn't been happy with theirs. And yeah, so I'm gonna make one too. This is my boxy made with the machine. Yes. So all the stockinette you see is made with the machine, and all the garter has been knit by hand, and the neckline's been knit by hand, and all the seaming together obviously by hand. So it's a little bit of both, but I've avoided all the stockinette. Like this thing I've done so quickly, and I know some of you are gonna be like, you cheat, but you know what, I wouldn't have made it otherwise, because I got so many other things I need to make. And yeah, so I'm very happy to have this shortcut for stockinette. It's quite restricted in the weight that it allows and the gauge that it allows, so I think this is the loosest my machine can do, so you can't really go looser than boxy, which is a fingering weight pattern. So it's got pluses and minuses, you know. It's mostly for tight knit stockinette that I can avoid. I'm gonna try it on so you can see how it fits. I obviously don't have sleeves for it. It's got a lot of scrap yarn on it that needs to be unraveled, so I have to hand knit the rib myself because I do not have a ribber, and I will be doing the sleeves by hand as well. So everything that's left of boxy now will be done by hand, included the mattress stitch. So let's see, how do we do this? I think I'm wearing it the right way around. Yeah, armholes. Yeah, boxy. Very happy with the neckline. I could have had it a bit more snug, but this is probably how it's supposed to be, so achieved that. It's very nice and boxy, but it doesn't look as boxy as I feared, which is nice. Yeah, this is quite like flattering. I know it's curling in now because it's stockinette, and once I sew it together obviously it will be more boxy. It drops down to here, not actually to my elbows. My elbows are here, so I'm gonna have to make some longer sleeves. I don't know if I have enough yarn for both the sleeves and the rib. I'm a bit worried about that. Oops. I'm using Yarn Indulgence's Z Lux yarn, I think it's called, and I've had it in my stash. It's one of my oldest stash items. I was so close to destashing it so many times, but I have decided a box is going to happen. So I'm finally part of the boxy club, and I will have my own soon, even though everyone's going to be looking at me like, you cheat. But personally, I don't think machine knitting is cheating. If you're curious about machine knitting at all, I know that Knit British recently did an episode with the Edinburgh Yarn Festival organizer Mika talking about knitting machines. I'm actually still not done with the episode myself. I'm about halfway through, and it's really good, and it gives a good insight into just how much manual work you have to do to work the machine. Yes, one row, one round is so quick, but everything else that you don't have to do in hand knitting takes such a long time with machine knitting, and not to mention all the troubleshooting, because yeah, that's the big time suck, when your stitches just fall off and you're like, okay, so we got a lot of live stitches here and they're all very sort of likely to unravel, and yeah, I will save you the grievances. I don't consider it cheating. I consider it just another way of making, a noisier way of making, a less portable way of making. So it's not going to replace my hand knitting, let's just say that. Another thing I want to say about my box is that it did turn out a lot shorter than I thought. I did swatch with the yarn, and I calculated how many rows I needed to make on the machine to make it the recommended length, and it does seem a great deal shorter. I'm gonna get up so you can see, but yeah, it's obviously curling up because it's stockinette, but it sits basically as low as my wannabe cropped cardigans or sweaters that I like to have a bit longer than cropped, but not cropped. So that fits me really well. That was surprising, but there is potential for ripping out just a little bit on each side, possibly just to borrow some yardage for the ribs so that I can make full length sleeves, but haven't decided on that yet. But it's definitely been a good sort of testing my skills with the machine. After I'd done the front and the back for the Renee Callahan sweater, I felt definitely more competent to try out a pattern made for hand knitting and try it out on the machine. The second thing I've actually started is Kate Davies Cockatoo Bray. Sounds not good. Anyway, the cardigan is beautiful. It's this brown cardigan with this rainbow Shetlandy color work around the yoke. It's a collaboration with Kate Davies and Ella Gordon. It's amazing. So I'm thinking of machine knitting the stockinette part, and then I will be hand knitting the rib and the color work, and obviously seaming it all together. Maybe as an Edinburgh cardigan, maybe. I have made the two fronts already, so all I really need to do is the back in the sleeves, and I can put it on the same needle and work the yoke, and then I can graft it all together and do the rib. It really sounds quite doable. I thought I was really clever when I thought I could do the stockinette on the machine on that one, but actually that is the one cardigan in the book that's intended to be either worked by hand or by machine in the way that I was thinking. So yeah, not as clever as I thought, because apparently that's how they did it back in the days when machine knitting, domestic machine knitting was more common, or people didn't have their own machines, but they could get machine knitted pieces and do the color work and the fun bits themselves, whereas others would actually get the fun bits ready made and do the stockinette themselves, which I don't understand. But people did not like knitting in the round back then. I don't get it, but that's the thing, that was the thing. So yeah, Boxy by Howie Logatelli, the fingering weight version. Very happy with it. So soft. It's a MCN blend, so it's gonna pill, but it's going to be so lovely. So joining the Boxy club, the pink Boxy club even, although the front looks more blue, whereas the back definitely more pink, which is just because it's hand dyed and variegated. And I did alternate. Oh my god, I didn't even cover that, alternating on the machine. The biggest time suck. I need to find a way to do that automatically. Goodness me. There is only one work in progress left to show you now. Goodness me, have I been active, but wow, I haven't seen you guys in a while either. The project is right behind me because I'm working on it. So my friend Amy is working busy for the Unravel Festival south of London, and this is her annual colorway that's usually sold there, but I'm not going to make any promises or make Amy feel like she has to do it just because I said something that isn't accurate here. But I got this back there last year. It's the anti-Valentine colorway that she only makes once a year for Valentine's, and because she gave it to me, I'm like, I'm gonna design with it, thank you. I also got the First Frost colorway, and I've been hell-bent on making a design for those two for a year and never got around to it because I've been busy with other designs, as you've seen, and so I'm doing it now, last minute. I love colorway. This is how everything here is working up, so I'm letting it talk a bit for itself. I'm letting it just be busy on its own, no color work for the foot, just to, like, you know, please those of you who are like, oh, I'm not gonna have color work on my feet because it's gonna fit into my shoes. And I'm like, it will fit into your shoes, but fine, I'll make a stockinette foot and color work leg then. So that's what I'm aiming at here. There's a little bit of color work happening in the beginning, but it really doesn't add much bulk, so I hope nobody's too fussed about that. But yeah, I'm now knitting up to the gusset. I will be increasing for the gusset, and I will be increasing a lot because we need more stitches for the leg. So we're not going to decrease all the gusset stitches when we get to the heel flap. We're going to leave some for the leg, so because the leg needs more stitches, because the leg will have color work, and I'm planning this all out now. I should write it down. So this is the colorway. This is the anti-Valentine colorway of Amy of the Stranded Dye Works on the Stranded podcast, and I'm designing with it, and it's good to be back on the designer thing again. I say that as though I didn't just show you 2 designs or several, but they have all been planned for a long time. This is actually something I'm creating and knitting immediately, which feels really good. Usually there's a huge gap between me designing something and actually getting to knit it, and so yeah, I really like just doing it all in one go. That's something I haven't done in a while, and it feels very sort of organic. And that was all the works in progress. I hope it's okay that I was talking a bit fast, because there was a lot to get through, and we are now left with all my acquisitions. That is all that's left of this episode. If you're someone who doesn't care for watching that kind of thing, then that's fine. I will see you next time, hopefully. But yeah, I've got a lot of things to show you that I've received or purchased, and I'm gonna start with something my mom made me. I knew that once she made one project bag, she would want to make several. So yeah, we had a huge argument last year about how many fabrics we were going to buy for this one bag that she'd promised to make me, and I was being like super demanding that I said, let's buy several fabrics because you're going to enjoy this. And I was right, she did enjoy it. So I'm receiving several bags from my mom now, and she made me this dragon bag. I know she has made me one that looks almost like this earlier, but it had a zipper and it wasn't interfaced. This one's got proper interfacing. It's really, really sturdy, and drawstring. It's quite boxy in the bottom. It's like a long fringe bag, if you will. So that's that. And yeah, drawstrings. I love this. I'm gonna use this so much. I just know it. It's just perfect. Yeah, I would have preferred it to be a bit shorter, just because that's just my, I don't know, maybe I'll come to love this. I just, oh, it's so cute with all the dragons, and it just, oh, thank you, Mom. This, I don't know if this was a Christmas present or a birthday present. That's the problem if your birthday's in January, you just don't know. The older you get, the less you just don't know. So, dragons, eh? There are quite a bit of acquisitions. I'm going to split them into two halves, the general things and the yarns. The yarn's going to come last because it's not, most of it, it's stuff you've seen before. Some of it is new, but a lot of it is like the usual Norwegian purchases. So, first acquisition is something I'm not going to try to pronounce, but it's the latest Kate Davies publication, and I'm obsessed. It's not that I'm like super fangirly and love everything Kate Davies does, but kind of. But this is one of the best ones. This is one of the ones that I'm like, I need to cast on everything. I don't know which one to start with first. So, you know, sorry if any of you are wearing headphones. That must have been rough. I got this anyway. And I don't know which hat to start with. I want to knit them all. I wanted to knit them all for presents, but obviously I didn't knit a single present, did I? I'm kind of a little bit obsessed with Diana Wall's hat. Also this one by Ella Gordon. Did I show you this earlier? Did I show it on Vlogmas? I don't remember, but I have. I showed you when I got in the mail. That's what I did. Anyway, I got this. I'm still going nuts about it, especially now that I'm back in London and I get to see it again. So that was one. The other two I am very, very excited to show you. I'm going to spend some time. We're going to spend some time on these, I think. Because I'm in both of them, and I'm totally going to spend a little bit of time just like bragging. Bear with me. This is the 8th issue of Bladet Garn, my favorite Norwegian knitting magazine. It's the one that supports indie designers, the ones that are on the interwebs. Me and others. This is a design by Pine Gudi, who I'm sure you know about if you watch this podcast regularly. She's a Norwegian designer. You can find her designs on Ravelry, and I really like them. This is no exception. So I'm gonna just walk you through this a little bit, just to show you some of the highlights. I don't know. Do you recognize someone here? Me. They interviewed me. Yeah, that's cool. I don't get interviewed a lot, so that's yeah. I'm gonna show you some favorites in here. I'm not gonna show you all of them because we sat here for a while. Venky Duval's got a hat in here. Just saying. I might need to make this, but I'm gonna make this and those hats over there, and that's, and I'm already knitting on like one hat. Maybe this is going to be the year of the hats. By the way, I do want to make a video where I talk about plans and goals for the next year and stuff I have knitted the past year. That's gonna happen too. Yeah. There's a jumper you may recognize. It's my design. Very, very big oversized yoke. It starts with a sort of, yeah, a neckline with this kind of fit, not too open, not too loose, and then it increases very quickly, so it becomes very big and cozy. Make sure you get the same gauge from color work than stockinette though. I have stressed this in the pattern as well. You don't want it to scoop in right here, because the whole thing is supposed to be oversized and cozy, like I said. Yeah, just it's a big stockinette beast. I have seen at least 2 individuals finish it now. It's super exciting and slightly scary, but they have both been very happy with it, so much that I nearly cried. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's my first, like, one of my 2 first published garments, and I'm still fairly new at garments, so when people love them, I'm like, yeah, no, let's behave like adults, Ellie. Let's do that. I love this idea so much. A boxy sweater with colorwork sleeves. Oh, so good. And it's modeled by the designer. How cool is that? And this cardigan is made by my friend Margrethe. So cool to have friends in this issue. I really love that, and people have met at various events and such, and this cardigan is gorgeous. Also, Tori Seierstad's got a hat in here. I do love her design, so that's very exciting. They really seem to have gathered up all of us designers from Norway who are very much in the more traditional place that do a lot of color work, and we get to be represented in this issue. That's very much up our alley, so that's so cool. I just, yeah, I really appreciated that. So there's an interview. I'm obviously not going to let you read it from here, but you know, I'm interviewed. I got to write my responses as well, so that was really good. So I didn't say as much nonsense as I have done in verbal interviews, because yeah, no, someone needs to filter this. Yeah, I get to show off my designs and yeah, just talk about things. I got a bit rogue when writing. I did try to sound a bit unhinged there as well, so you know, it still got me in it. They do translate this issue. In case anyone's wondering, I'm talking to you about a Norwegian magazine in English. That's a bit odd. You can get it digitally in English and in Norwegian in print, I believe. They talk about latest book releases, which I love. I love when they do that, because it's really hard to get your head around the latest book releases about knitting in Norway, because this is gonna sound like a ridiculous problem to have, but there are just so many of them. I don't know how many come out every year, but you can't keep track of them all, and they're not all, to put it in a nice way, not all my cup of tea, and I feel like I have to wade through a lot of stuff that isn't for me, that I don't care about, that is just like, yeah, but where's the color work, where's the Instagram stuff, you know, where's that? And it's nice when you get them to go through the books that I think are worth keeping an eye out for. So yeah, I'm so into this issue. Like, it's their 8th issue, and it's definitely my favorite. Not just because I'm in it twice, but because it's based on Norwegian traditional color work. That's what it says. The theme is modern tradition, knitting patterns and articles about knitting. So it's just right up my alley. I'm very excited about it. You can get on Ravelry, that's all I'm gonna say. Again, I'm doing this thing where I'm like, you can get it there, you can buy it there, that's how you can get it. I do that because I always get asked. I am in no way saying that you should feel like you have to. You don't. I just wanted people to know how they can, because if I don't say it, I have to tell, like, you know, 20 different individuals how to, so it's easier for me to just say it out here. So hopefully you understand. The other thing that I got, it's in Norwegian in print, but it's in English as a download. I don't think you can buy the print anymore. It might be available in brick and mortar shops, but you cannot buy it from Nina of Nina Petrina anymore. That was a pre-sale, pre-order in print only, but digital is forever available on Ravelry in both languages. And it's all based on gradients dyed with Nina's yarn. So there's another gradient. Oh yeah, I'm gonna show you some of my favorites. I think this yoke is so cute. I just love that. By the way, they're all modeled by Strikk who's Elizabeth, who designed this shawl, which I love and I really want to make it. Gradient or not, I think it's just great. Look at that. It's got the equivalent for a square as well, like a wrap. I think this jumper is adorable. It's just, I like that. Yeah, tempted to make it. And imagine that in lamb's wool though. This is also really nice and a very, very cool use of a gradient. Very into the idea of making this skirt. You guys know how much I love skirts. That's pretty much all I wear. It's no trousers here. I don't think I would. Yes, I just bought a pair. I'm trying to get into them. Anyway, this skirt, it's got to happen, but not until after I finish that dress, that Icelandic dress. Oh, hello. So yeah, I made this one, that one. I knit that in 2 weeks. Madness. Anyway, that was yeah, my favorites and my own contribution. I did a full-on like Norwegian style cardigan. It's got trees and everything. Like, I'm sure you've seen it plenty of times already, so I probably don't have to talk you through it. It's top down, optional waist shaping. Yeah, lots and lots of use of gradients. They're just striped. It's a very so simple way. You're not like color working the gradient transition and the lice. I'm not going to do that to you. So yeah, it's a thing that I have in a print publication. So yeah, 2 print publications. My goodness. There is another print publication coming. It could be coming in just a couple of days. I've heard the 10th of January being thrown around. I'm not sure, but because I don't know, I'm not going to talk about it here. So keep your eyes peeled, or you know, keep a lookout for that on my Instagram. It will appear on my Ravelry designs as well, but the best way to find out as soon as possible is to follow me on Instagram if you want to. If you don't use Instagram, you can still go to instagram.com/Skeindeer. If I said that wrong, I will correct that down here, but that should be the address, and you can browse my Instagram account from your web browser, or even on your phone web browser. So there are still ways of using Instagram as a viewer if you don't want to actually use it and be a member. So that's that. I'm very excited about that. It's one of those things that I've kept from you for a very long time, and I will tell you because I always do. Yeah. I placed a rather medium-sized order from Hillesvåg. I got 2 cones of huldra from Hillesvåg. I thought they were going to be half kilos each. They are 200 grams each. So now I'm not so sure if I have enough for what I wanted to make with them, but could be something else. I mean, it could be a shawl. Will be enough for that. Could be more Faroese shawls. Except this is a combed yarn. It's a worsted spun yarn, so I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I also got some shade cards, and I got a cone of Ask in this beautiful sort of purpley red, not burgundy precisely, kind of plummy burgundy. Yeah, anyway, but I did not fit those into my suitcase. My mom's gonna send them for me for my birthday. Until then, I did bring the shade cards that I got to order. Finally. So this is Ask. This is all the Ask colors. Very similar to Finull, like I said, so I am going to put that up on my wall behind me there. It's gonna hang there, and so I can see them when I want to choose colors. This is called Cum Garn. What that means is that in the Huldra and I believe also Alv series, this is the Huldra yarn. That's the yarn I got on cones. That was a little bit on the short side, but yeah, Alv is the same yarn, but it's finer, so that's why I think there is just one shade card with Huldra, because it's the same colors. It's just that Alv is finer. It's a lot of colors. I have some sweater quantities already, so yeah, I don't feel too sorry for myself for not being able to bring home the 2 cones. But yeah, it's a lot of colors. I also got sock yarn things, shade cards. They got sock yarn, they got Fjell and Fjord at least, and they are quite thick sock yarn in a rustic yarn with nylon. So I think this is all Fjell, but I do believe that Fjord, it's pronounced Fjord in case you didn't know, comes in the same colors. Some different colored plies and some that are solids, and yeah, good to have because I really do love this yarn, and I like to knit very thick socks for indoor use and such. And I would like to design more with it, but I am aware that the availability for thicker sock yarns is not as high outside of Norway. I also got this. This was before I went to Norway. It's a needle case, but not really. It's a makeup case. This is one of those, you know, travel makeup cases. I just got it off of Amazon, and ta-da! So I've stacked them sideways here, and it's a split in the middle that I could put in whatever I wanted. So I got 3.75 down to 1.5 or something, or 2. I think 2 is my finest. And I got 4mm and up to whatever the largest size is, because I know I tend to use more of this half, but it's easier to just find where the divide is so you don't have to spend so much time looking. It's really working out, this system. But yeah, I don't know if I have much to say about the system. They are stacked by size, like I said, from smallest to thickest, and within each size they are sorted by cable length, starting with a 9-inch going all the way up to 100 or 120 centimeter circumference. So yeah, it's working out really well for me. I used to have them in a smaller toiletry bag, but my collection kind of got a bit too big, so I got bigger case for it, because now it's easier to go through the different needle cases to see the needles, because before I had to really press them apart to see, and it was really packed together, so it got a bit difficult. It's not to say that I'm super organized with my needles. Most of the time they're just hanging on the knob of my bedside drawer, so it's not like I'm organized. But once I do get organized, I put them back in here in the right order, so there's always that option. Another two things that I got is this year's Kofter issue of Familien, which is a Norwegian magazine for people that are far from my the target group that I am. But when they release this cardigan issue, I have to get it, because it's just packed full of pretty colorwork cardigans. Even if I don't make any of them, I'm just kind of like, ee. So yeah, it comes with things like this. And this, it's often a place where the big commercial companies can sort of tease you with one pattern from their latest publication. So they'll put one in here and then be like, you can get the whole thing if you buy this booklet and our yarn. And the other thing I got is one of those collections. This is from Rauma, and this is their Christmas issue of this year. It's got lots of Christmas cardigans. I think they played a little bit too much with their high exposure setting, but that's just me. Look at that. I am obsessed with this. I don't think it's cropped, she's just packed it in her skirt, but if it were cropped, my goodness. Oh, yeah, I think this is a more accurate representation of the length. This one as well, it's gorgeous. So yeah, just totally happy to have this collection for next Christmas. You know, who knits before Christmas for Christmas? Even though that would be sensible. Lastly, before we get to the yarn, is my Christmas present from my mom with the price tag on. Goodness me. I actually had to pick this up in the shop myself because it was downtown. My mom doesn't really go there, and yeah, having had a bit of a rough year, I actually wasn't really able to articulate to anyone what I wanted for this Christmas. It's probably the first year I haven't written any sort of wish list. I don't know if I want to call it that, because they're not very long anyway, but like giving any indication of what I would like, even though people asked, because I wasn't really wanting anything, and that's kind of concerning. Anyway, he didn't come for that, but yeah, so my mom didn't really have anything for me for Christmas. She got me a weekend bag just to have something, which I'm using to contain my yarn right now. So it was very much appreciated, but my mom was like, yeah, I don't really have anything for you because I don't know what you want, even though I told her that I wanted this machine knit Kate Davies sweater, the blue one, the largest size. I was like really specific, Mom, I want that, and she was just, yeah, but I didn't take that seriously because you can knit yourself. I'm like, okay. So she said I could go and buy something and she would pay for it, and that would be the Christmas present. So that's how I got this one. And it's Spælsau or Samspill by Annemor Sundbø. I love her books. They're just full of wisdom about knitting and wool in Norway. This is about the Spælsau breed. It's a sheep breed that we've had in Norway for a very long time. I haven't read this book, so obviously I can't comment much about that beyond that. But yeah, it's like proper history and mythology, and just, oh, I look forward to having a proper read of this book. But then again, I said that about all of her books, and I guess I haven't really read through them. Yeah. See, when I'm done with my PhD, I'm going to read through all the things, right? Oh, I want to show you one more thing before I show you the yarn. I should be wearing this really, but this sweater was knit by my friend Marion, who is Marnie's Yarn. She's on Instagram as Marnie's. She dyes yarn in Norway, and she'd made herself the Chuck sweater. She didn't find that it fit her well, so she gave it to me, and it fits. I didn't think it would be because we were different sizes, and I just assumed that that's just not gonna fit. And also because I have knit a couple of Andy Satterlund designs myself, and they always seem to decrease a bit too sharply from bust to waist for me. But for some reason it actually does fit, so maybe I should actually take it to heart and just follow Andy Satterlund's patterns for change. Anyway, this is what it looks like. The color is a very nice green. It's a lot more stark than it comes across here. It looks a bit muted actually. It's a very glowy green. I love this. The color looks actually quite nice on me. This is nice as well because she actually followed the cable chart, which I failed to do when I made this sweater for myself. So now I have a red chuck and a green chuck. Yeah. So thank you so much, Martin. This is super nice. If anyone wants any information about this pattern, I do have one knitted myself in my Ravelry project. It's a red one from 2017. At last, the yarn. So where do we begin? I want to start with a yarn that I got while I was still in Norway from Grace when she was in London. She gave me one of her Babbles Yarns. So that is my first Babble yarn skein. And I've just kept it out here so I can show you. I won't forget. And now I can put it in the cubby. I also have a skein that I got from Garnbutikken Fortuna. Me and Lily of Nordic Stitches just took a road trip out there because, yeah, I've never been. And it's like the one and only, at least the first Norwegian yarn shop, at least in my region, that specializes in other yarns than all the other yarn shops in Norway do, because they all pretty much sell the same, except Fortuna. Fortuna gets special imported yarns, and they're really just, I've been aware of them for years, but I haven't been able to go until now, so that was awesome. And it was super cool to meet the ladies who run the shop, and they have become yarn dyers, and they had lots of hand-dyed yarns of theirs. That's beautiful. And now, after much contemplation, landed on this one because just beautiful. It's gonna be some sock someday, you know. So yeah, thanks for having us over. They gave us lots of Christmas treats, and it was like kind of the first day I felt proper festive this holiday. Yeah, it was a really nice visit, and they had proper snow and everything. It's a lot colder further in the country because they, yeah, no offense, but you guys live in the middle of nowhere. That's why I've never been. So yeah, very happy to finally have gone and seen their shop. It's amazing. If you're ever in the South Trøndelag region, that's now just called Trøndelag, but you know, south of the fjord, then you can go there. But you pretty much need a car. So yeah, I got other yarns as well. I got myself lots of Vams in different colors. Here's a nice green and the white and the black, and I have some plans for this that I'm probably not going to disclose just yet. But Vams is Aran to chunky weight Rauma yarn. It's a former PT yarn as well, so it used to be PT3. It's a similar thing to what they did to Finull and PT2, so this is now Vams PT3. It's really nice and soft. I don't know how they do it. It's thicker than Finull, but for some reason also softer. Yeah, things will happen with this yarn. I think I got like 5 of them. I got a lot. I also got a lot of my new favorite yarn. I mean favorite, really, like right up there, Desert Island yarn. Vilje by Hillesvåg. Their new lamb's wool base and fingering weight yarns. Got a heathered light grey and a sort of dark charcoal, both quite heathered. I have some loose plans for it, possibly designing. I don't know. I got a bunch of them, so it's a garment size quantity. I also got these from the Totro Gammelserie, which is like Finull but with a higher twist, more strength. I think you can guess what these are going to be. I'm really hoping that I will find the time to make the Trondheim Mittens by Pia Kammerborn of Kammerbornia, because they are of my hometown and they're lovely. They're super pretty, and yeah, it's my hometown, you know, so how can I not? Colorwork mittens portraying my hometown, there's just no way around it. So I got the yarn. Hopefully I will get around to making mittens. I also did get a bunch of Finull, like maybe 4 or 5 skeins, different shades of grey. There's really nothing new here. So yeah, that's the yarn I got, and I think it's in due time because the leaf blower man is back outside, and I want to commit murder, you know. I've actually sent them like noise pollution complaints, but they're like, yeah, we're not going to do anything about it. Thanks a lot. So yeah, that's all I have for you today. Goodness me, that was a long one. I hope I will find the time to edit. My goodness. So I will see you guys next time. Hopefully I will get around to make a video for the year that's been and the year that's going to come in terms of knitting. So I'll see you then. Bye.